Hello, welcome back. This is a video for Unit 7, Section 6, and we're going to be talking more specifically about rotations or brotations in the coordinate plane. We want to rotate figures in the coordinate plane given the degree and direction, and we want to describe the rotation of a figure using coordinates. So, what we want to do is we want to be able to find a rotation. Now we talked about the center of rotation. We talked about using degrees to do that. And so we're actually going to do that ourselves, okay? And so what we want to do is our objective for this problem is we want to rotate this point A 90 degrees clockwise around the origin. Okay, so what I want to do, here's my origin, this is my center of rotation, and here's point A. Now it's important to write out this point. Point A is the point 2, 3, okay? And so what we want to do is find A prime, all right? What does that look like after we've done this rotation? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line that connects A to O. All right, our center of rotation. Now, the thing that we have to remember is we have to use the concept of slopes here. So slope, specifically perpendicular slope. And remember, perpendicular means you have a 90-degree angle. We have, to find perpendicular slopes, we take the opposite reciprocal. Okay, which basically means you flip the fraction and change the sign. All right. So in this, what we want to think about is we want to think about our rise over run here. Okay, and so this is a slope of up 3 over 2. So in this example, our slope here of our original is the slope 3/2. Now, if I wanted to find my perpendicular slope, I'm going to flip my fraction and change the sign, and that's just going to give me -2/3, okay? So from my origin, that's how I go back out. I go up 2 to the left 3 and plot a point, and that's going to give me my point here, A prime. And the idea was that I took this point and I rotated it, I turned it 90 degrees counterclockwise, and the angle that's created here is a 90-degree angle. Okay, so pretty unique way of doing that, all right? So, that's where A prime is, okay? And so A prime is now the point -3, +2. So another thing to keep in mind is that, we'll analyze the points from point A to A prime. How did I use these points? And, using the point 2, 3 to write a rule for -3, 2. Okay, now let's just try this again. Okay, I've got this point down here, which I'll call point B. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to rotate this point -3, -4, 90 degrees clockwise around the origin. So I'm going to go this direction. Okay, clockwise is I'm going to go the opposite direction. So my point's going to be up here. All right, now the other thing, remember what I want to do is I want to draw a point from my point to the origin. And I want to think of that slope. Now that slope is going to be, what is that slope? That's going to be a positive up 4 over 3, so +4/3. If I'm trying to find my perpendicular slope, I want to do -3/4. Flip my fraction, change the sign. So from here, I want to go up 3 over 4. All right, so up 3 over 4, and then my slope is going to go in that direction. Okay, now if I were rotating this counterclockwise and going in this direction, I would have gone down 3 over 4 to put that point there. Okay, and so here's that new point. Okay, this is going to be B prime. And so if point B was the point -3, -4, and then B prime is going to be the point -4, +3. So notice how these are changing, okay? So, all right, now the next thing I want to do is talk about a half turn, okay? And what that is this is an angle of 180 degrees. Now, going from one point to the next, it's important that I look at this point here and this point here, and I can draw a straight line through the origin, all right? Notice how my slope here was up 1 over 1, and I have the same slope here. Now, if I connect this point over here with this point over here, all right, this is a slope of 1/4. I go up 1 to the right 4, down 1 to the left 4, and those are going to have the same slope to connect those points, okay? So that's the idea there. Let's take a look at the next page. Okay, so looking at 180 degree rotations, it's pretty easy to look at these points, okay? Remember what we had. We just connect these points through the origin, and what's interesting is that you get the opposite points, okay? So if I look at point A to get to A prime, we had the point 1, 1. When we did a rotation and we turned that 180 degrees, we get the point A prime, which is the point -1, -1. Now, point B was the point 4, 1. We went all the way through the origin, and that gave us the point -4, -1. Point C is the point 4, 3, and as we go through the origin, we had the point -4, -3. So we have this rule, okay? And that rule is going to be, we take the point XY, and this is for 180 degree rotation, or brotation. Then all you're going to do is you're going to take the opposite of what you had, okay? And you can see that up here. The numbers stay the same, it's just that you get the opposite, so they're going to be negative, okay? So we start with point XY. To get our new points, we get -x, comma, -y, okay? And that's that. All right, and so that's what we have here. Mapping rule of 180 degree rotations. That's what we have. That's just what we wrote. And so what we want to do is we want to rotate point K 180 degrees around the origin. Okay, so, and what they tell you to do is to multiply the x coordinate by -1, multiply the y coordinate by -1, and then simplify. So if I'm using this rule, you can totally do that, -3, comma 2. And all I'm really going to do is take the opposite of each. Now, if I multiply each of those by -1, if I take -3 and multiply it by -1, that's going to give me a +3. If I multiply 2 by -1, that's going to give me -2. And really, the idea is just to take the opposite of each. So the opposite of a negative is a positive, opposite of a positive is a negative. So to get the point K prime, you can certainly do that, or you can just flip the signs on each of those, and that's going to be your point on the image, okay? All right, let's take a look here. I want to take this entire triangle here, triangle EFG, and rotate it 180 degrees about the origin, okay? So let's go ahead and do that, and let's list out each of these points. I have the point E, F, and then G. Now, point E is the point -3, -2. Okay, point F is the point 1, -2, and point G is the point 1, comma, -4. Now, what I want to do is I want to apply that same rule that we had just talked about, and that's that rule up here, all right, that I take each of my points and I just find the opposites of each of those x and y values. So if I'm trying to find the point E prime, F prime, and G prime, I'm simply just going to do that. I'm going to take the opposites and make this +3, +2. For F prime, I'm going to take -1, +2. For G prime, I'm going to take -1, +4. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to plot those points, and I'm going to do that in, oh gosh, I'll do blue. All right, so -1, 2 is here, -1, 4 is here, and then 3, 2 is here, all right? And there's my rotation, okay, also called brotation, okay? So then this is F prime, and then this is G prime, and I label those. Now what you can do is you should be able to connect each of those points through the origin. So f corresponding to f prime, I should be able to draw a line that goes through the origin. G to G prime, I should be able to draw a line that goes through the origin. E to E prime, I should be able to draw a line that goes through the origin. Okay. Now the important thing is that these are easy ones to do. Okay. You have to have the rules and you have to have the points to do this, to find the new points, because that's going to help you in the event that you don't have nice, neat numbers. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about 90-degree clockwise rotations. So here you've got okay, so here's what you got. You got a 90-degree clockwise rotation, so we're going to go this direction, okay? And so going from 1, 1 to 1, negative 1 tells us a story. But the other thing that we can do is look at point B and C and see how those change, okay? And so notice that from B to B prime, you go from the point 4, 1 to 1, negative 4, okay? Notice that for point C, which is 4, 3, when you rotate that down, you get the point 3, negative 4, okay? So from that, notice what you do to those numbers. So what I'm doing is, to go from this point to this point, what you're doing is you switch X and Y, okay, and make the new Y value opposite. Okay, so kind of weird, all right? But the idea is this. You have your original point XY, okay? And when you transform that, when you rotate that 90 degrees clockwise, here's what happens. You get the point Y, comma, negative X, okay? And that's what's happening, is that you take your X and Y values and you switch them up. So the Y value here becomes the X value here, and that's the idea here. And then the X value that you had over here becomes the Y value over here, but it becomes opposite, okay? So you simply just take the numbers you had here, you flip them, and whatever this number was, you make it opposite. That's the idea, all right? Let's take a look at the next page. And that's exactly what we had here. So the mapping rule was, take your point XY, switch your X and Y value, whatever you had as X here, make that negative, okay? And it's important that you have these because you're going to use these rules to rotate these points. So if I wanted to rotate point L 90 degrees clockwise, here's my point L, which is negative 4, 5. And what I'm going to do is here's my X, here's my Y. Now remember what you had to do is you get Y, comma, negative X. So all I'm going to do is switch them. So my Y value, 5, becomes my new X value over here. And then whatever I had for X, I'm going to make that opposite. So this is negative 4, means my opposite is going to be positive 4, and this is L prime. This is our answer. This is what we're looking for. We're having fun. That is non-negotiable, okay? All right, now let's take a look over here. Now 90 degrees counterclockwise rotations has a very similar thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take A to A prime. That doesn't tell us much, okay? But if I look at B, we start at 4, 1. All of a sudden, we have negative 1, 4. Now point C, we had the point 4, 3, and after we rotate that, we get the point negative 3, 4. So let's think about what happens there, all right? So if I think about my point X, comma, Y, what am I doing from this point to this point? What am I doing from this point to this point? Now, we're still doing the same thing. We're still switching X and Y, all right? So I want to write that. But my Y value of this point becomes negative X, my negative X value. So negative Y, comma, X is what we put, okay? So to go from one point to the next, all I did was I take my points here, I switch them, and then whatever my Y value was, I make that negative and put it in my spot for X. And this is my new point, okay? So that's the exact same thing that we have here. So we wanted to rotate, let me do it on this point, all right? So here's point N, which is the point 2, comma, negative 4. And I want to translate this, transform it, to a 90 degree counterclockwise rotation to get N prime. So I'm going to take X, Y, think of my rule, negative y comma x, and that's going to give me positive 4 comma 2. And that's my point after I do my rotation, okay? And that is it, my friends. So use those mapping rules to do this. It's really not too bad if you understand what this notation means, okay? So it's really important that we do that. Use those notations, and we'll use it to do some rotations because you guys are all part of my brotation team. Now, that was really a bad joke, but you know what? It's totally cool. All right, you guys are my friends. We'll see you later. Bye.